at least the subsidiary of the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, did agree to a $30 million contract with ICE to design, whatever that means, mega ICE prisons, which is the antithesis of the values you would expect of indigenous tribes. And by the way, this is in the broader context. They accepted this money as ICE was targeting and harassing Native Americans. I have reported on this several times. Earlier in the year, ICE was detaining Native Americans, and in some cases for 8 to 9 hours at a time. You can help build the only independent news outlet, always on the ground with the people, for as low as 16 cents a day.
Corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and you're going straight to the people.
Flint, Michigan.
Brooklyn, New York.
Government sending one more you to the residents of Chicago.
We need as many independent voices as possible, and that's why what you guys do is so important.
Covering what the corporate media covers up. Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. A Native American tribe in Kansas is now backtracking after officials involved with the tribe's economic division seem to sell out to ICE to the tune of $30 million. Let me give you the details here. This is the Prairie Band Potawatomi tribe in Kansas, and they have now fired executives after those executives accepted and were about to carry out a $30 million contract to help design mega ICE detention centers. The Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation on Tuesday terminated senior management of its Economic Development Corporation after a tribal subsidiary secured a $29.9 million federal contract to design potential ICE detention facilities. And these were described as mega ICE prisons, basically. The prime contract awarded by DHS to KPB Services, LLC, which is a subsidiary of Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, supports early phase planning, including research, technical assessments, and concept designs for secure structures that meet ICE's operating requirements. The award didn't involve construction or the operation of the detention centers. In a joint statement, Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation and Prairie Band LLC acknowledged the community concerns about Homeland Security contract and the process that led to the approval. Quote, Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation and Prairie Band LLC understands the concerns raised about a recently awarded Department of Homeland Security planning contract that involves feasibility studies and technical assessments. As a sovereign nation, our values guide the decisions we make, and we acknowledge that this contract does not align with those principles. The Tribal Council and the board of Prairie Band LLC said they terminated senior members of the LLC's leadership team responsible for securing the award. Quote, moving forward, we are also taking a closer look at the internal review and approval process for federal contracts, the statement said, adding new safeguards and reporting requirements. Quote, we recognize the weights this news carries for so many, as well as the feelings of anger, confusion, and disappointment it caused. We hear those concerns, the nation said. Quote, as a nation, we take serious our responsibility to ensure all future engagements align clearly with our values and mission. And to be clear, this decision, which was technically the subsidiary of the tribe, but you would have to assume tribal leaders knew about it. From what I could tell, there wasn't a formal tribal vote on this, but there could have been. I reached out to the tribe twice yesterday before they made these firings for comment. They did not respond. So it's not totally clear if there was a tribal council vote on this. You know, nations and tribes have tribal councils, they have governments, and they vote. So it's not clear to me if they voted on this or if it was, you know, kind of like rogue executives. But you would have to think that the tribe was aware of this. And to be clear, you know, I reached out to several indigenous people I know, basically because I'm a white dude and I was a little hesitant. You know, it's not within my nature. I don't like criticizing indigenous people or tribes. You know, as a journalist, I try to cover them and prop up indigenous voices. That's why I was at Standing Rock in the first place about a decade ago. But you also have to call a spade, and they did agree, at least the subsidiary of the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation did agree to a $30 million contract with ICE to design, whatever that means, mega ICE prisons, which is the antithesis of the values you would expect of indigenous tribes. I also want to point out, at least in the news of this and the statement that they issued, it's not abundantly clear to me yet if they are canceling the contract, if they are not going to accept the funds and return it to ICE. That was not laid out specifically in the news. I reached out again before I recorded this to the tribe to ask, with these firings, are you also returning the funds, that $30 million contract to ICE? To be clear, $30 million is a lot of money for any indigenous tribe. I mean, I know just covering Standing Rock, covering indigenous communities and stories for the last decade. I mean, these are the most impoverished communities in America because of what the American government and oligarchs have done to Native Americans for hundreds and hundreds, well, even longer than hundreds of years. We have pushed them onto essentially open air prisons, endemic poverty, and then made them beg for funds from the same government that murdered, raped, kidnapped, and genocided them. So, you know, it's not completely black or white. $30 million is a game changer for most indigenous communities. However, that doesn't make it right to accept $30 million, whoever accepted it, whether it was tribal leaders or executives as part of their economic division. Most Native American tribes have, you know, economic development arms. But it is wrong and shameful, in my opinion, for them to have ever agreed to anything with ICE, whether it be designing or otherwise. I did talk to an indigenous source before I recorded this. This person is familiar with how tribal governments work. They said to me it is their belief that the money would be returned through, you know, intertribal processes where the tribe would basically tell the government that, you know, we don't have the staffing for this and return the funding. That is their belief. I don't know that for fact. And again, the tribe has not responded to me. I will also say the response before these firings, at least from what I could see online, was vehemently furious. This was just a Reddit thread. Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation lands $30 million contract for ICE mega centers. I'm not going to read all of them, but, you know, this is in the, by the way, Indian country Reddit. The fact that at every opportunity they've refused to comment on this is telling that they know what they're doing is wrong and unpopular. Cowardly action in the name of, quote, exploring new investments and partnerships to grow its economic portfolio. Another one, actually vile. What the fuck is wrong with them? Fucking disgraceful. Shame on them. Indigenous nations collaborating with this fascist government are traitors. I think you get the picture here. You know, listen, I was at Standing Rock. I've covered other indigenous communities. Corruption is not unique, you know, only exclusive to white people and white governments or black and brown communities. There's corruption in indigenous communities. There's corruption sometimes within Native American tribes. You know, human beings are human beings. I don't know if corruption had anything to do with this. This might have just been, you know, people are with the tribe trying, making the decision to take that money, whether it aligns with their values or not, and kind of roll the dice that it would be accepted. Clearly, it wasn't accepted. So I'm not saying that the tribe is corrupt or anything like that. But what I am saying is greed does not exclusively live with white, black, or brown people. And I'm just going to be honest, as a white man, and Standing Rock really opened my eyes to a lot of our own privilege. I am hesitant to criticize Native American tribes, to be critical of Native American tribes. But I did reach out to several indigenous people before I did this report, and they encouraged me to do it, basically saying, you know, you have to call a spade, and Native Americans do not have exclusive, you know, an exclusive shield if they are doing wrong. So we'll have to follow up on this. I would expect the tribe to return the funds. Also, unfortunately, with this government, the Trump administration, I would expect them to then be blacklisted from further government funds. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. They're going to return the money, likely because they shouldn't have accepted it in the first place. But then the Trump administration is probably going to blacklist them. And who knows, past the Trump administration, what will happen. But it's just shameful that the tribe accepted this money in the first place, and shameful that it took Outcry to get them to fire people. That's what appears happened. And by the way, this is in the broader context. They accepted this money as ICE was targeting and harassing Native Americans. I have reported on this several times. Earlier in the year, ICE was detaining Native Americans, in some cases for 8 to 9 hours at a time, not providing them the ability to make phone calls to lawyers, family. I reported a few weeks ago, a Native American woman in Iowa was nearly deported because apparently ICE cannot distinguish between Native Americans and other minorities. Not that they should be trying to deport other minorities anyway. And now news came out recently that a pretty well-known Native American actress, her name is Elaine Miles. She's been in hit shows like The Last of Us on HBO, Northern Exposure, Smoke Signals. She was harassed and targeted by ICE at a bus stop in Washington, where they almost detained her and basically called her tribal ID, which is an official tribal government ID, basically called that fake. Let me show you the interview that CNN did with her.
Elaine, I'm so sorry this happened to you. What happened after he called your ID fake?
They just kind of kept arguing with me about it, and I kept telling them that it was from a federally recognized tribe in Eastern Oregon, and it's a federal ID, and only enrolled members can get those, because they kept saying anybody could make them. And I was like, that's not fake, it's a real ID.
Certainly ironic, somebody telling a Native American she's not necessarily in the country legally. In a statement to CNN, the Department of Homeland Security says, quote, allegations that DHS law enforcement officers engage in racial profiling are disgusting, reckless, and categorically false. Adding, quote, ICE was conducting targeted immigration enforcement traffic stops and encountered Elaine Miles driving a vehicle registered to an illegal alien. She was never arrested. Any claim that ICE questioned her tribal ID are false. ICE agents are trained to recognize tribal IDs and accept them as proof of status, unquote. That is the official government response. Elaine, what is the truth there? What is your response?
I even asked them, because they are federal, I asked them, I go, you're a federal agent, you should know the tribal IDs and the tribal rights that we have, the treaty rights that we have. And they all just kind of looked at me, and I keep saying, after I talk about it so much these last few weeks, I wonder if they were really, really ICE agents or just bounties, because I know bounties are being paid. And if they're going to hire these bounties, they should educate them on our tribal rights.
Elaine, they claim that you were driving a car registered to an undocumented immigrant. Is that true?
I was not driving. I was walking. And that's why I even said, what did I do? When they stopped me, I go, I didn't jaywalk because I used the crosswalk. So what did I do?
Are you aware of anything similar happening to any other Native Americans?
Oh, yeah. Ever since I've started talking about it, I've heard about many natives that have been stopped, and about 2 natives that were actually in those detention centers. And one of them was from Arizona, and it took a few weeks for her tribe to even find her in that detention center. And that's another thing I have an issue with, is why does it take so long for them to find them? What kind of paperwork do they keep, or do they just throw them in there and not take any kind of paperwork? Because why are they putting natives in there?
Why are they putting natives in there? Of all the scandals and outrages of this administration, and I don't have, 7 hours right now to go through all of them. Probably take longer than 7 hours. I mean, this is just disgusting. It is very clear that racial profiling is the official policy of the fascistic Trump regime. And if you're MAGA and you're enjoying this, there's really something wrong with you. To all the people who say, I voted for this. You voted to terrorize Native Americans? To target Native Americans? How does that improve your life other than giving you a weird, sick, twisted giggle? It's all just so fucked up.